Twinkle fingers. Oh my goodness, twinkle fingers. Very excited to have with us. Hi, everyone. My name is Nerissa Street. I am the host of this amazing third annual Juneteenth for Joy festival. And this year, we're doing something special as part of the Juneteenth for Joy festival. We are going to be building Black utopias, transforming red lines into green spaces. So, this particular project, we want to first honor our sponsors, and our sponsors include the following. Our sponsors include the absolutely amazing Community Foundation of Broward, and specifically the following funds: the Helen and Frank Stoikov Charitable Endowment Fund, Louise and Rudy Dill Charitable Fund, and the Mary and Alex McKenzie Community Impact Fund. We also want to let you know that support has been provided by the Broward County Cultural Division, as well as Happy Homes Florida Realty and the Rabbit Hole Life. We also have support provided by the Be Your Own Answer podcast, as well as the Broward Center for the Performing Arts. The Juneteenth for Joy Festival is a sponsored project of the Center for Social Change. So we wanted to go ahead and acknowledge and thank all of our sponsors who work together to give you this very robust program. So thank you for being here. Today, what we're going to be discussing, which is really wonderful, on our way to the Juneteenth for Joy Festival, on our way to building Black utopias, we're going to be talking about how joy is essential to our health. And we are really excited to welcome two amazing experts in the varying aspects of health. So let me introduce them to you right now. So we have first Udaya Thomas, PhD, MSN, MPH, NP, BC, ARNP, CYT, CNC, CIHP. Amazing. Dr. Thomas is a first-generation immigrant from Kerala, India, and I really want you, Udaya, to correct me on the pronunciation of that when it's your turn. Even though raised in the Midwest, she keeps strong connections to her family and her culture. Dr. Thomas holds certificates in integrative health coaching, yoga, and as a public health master trainer. This year, she also completed a certificate as an integrative mental health practitioner, focusing on nutritional and behavioral health methods to address mental health disorders as both primary and complementary interventions. She recently left full-time practice in primary care to teach the next generation of nurse practitioners. She's now a professor at Nova Southeastern University in their graduate nursing program. Along with her new work, she's immersed herself in her local community. She's been a member and a volunteer facilitator for Broward County Mindfulness Community of Practice. She's an advisor to the Commission on the State of Women for Broward County and has been instrumental in, our Juneteenth for Joy initiative in helping to create safe and open interview spaces for our Broward residents by crafting simple and open questions. I can attest to that. She works with individuals and groups using integrative health, meditation, nutrition, and movement solutions to co-create plans and community with community members to improve self and family care in order to maintain optimal community health. Dr. Thomas is the immediate past board president of Integrative Medicine for the Underserved, which is known as I Am For Us, where she has also been a volunteer since 2015. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, Dr. Udaya Thomas. Yay!
Nerissa.
Sparkle fingers. Sparkle fingers. Next, we have Tanieka Clarke, LMT. She is a small business owner in an era where young Black men and women, specifically young Black women, are increasingly choosing to make their mark in the world. Tanieka Clarke started by opening a spa studio. She quickly realized that far too many women of color still viewed spa visits and self-care as a luxury rather than a necessity. As a result, Tanieka became part of the growing conversation around women and their holistic health with their live self-care talks, requests for podcast interviews, and social media. With the peaks and valleys of COVID-19 impacting her business, Tanieka has reinvented herself with a mission to help women all across the globe nourish their hearts, their minds, their bodies, and spirits. Tanieka has a bachelor's degree in business, holds licenses in both massage therapy and as a full specialist, and holds several certifications. As she is committed to her own well being, she's committed to helping every woman on her path be well holistically. Sparkle fingers. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. Okay, ready to get started. So, for those of you who are watching, we have folks who are watching us on Facebook and we have folks who are watching us on YouTube Live. So, if you have any questions, go ahead and type those questions for us into the chat and we will answer them as best as we can. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, let's get started. So, we're talking about joy as essential to our health and well being. And so I'm going to pop this question up, really, because the focus of our festival, the focus of our project is freedom through the lens of joy. But one of the things that I really think is important is that joy isn't just a mental experience, joy is a physical experience, right? So we've seen issues of the physical well-being become part of daily conversation. I want to ask Dr. Thomas, let's talk about it. What is public health? Tell us a little bit more about what we mean by that.
So, public health is that which promotes and protects the health of people and communities where they live, work, and play. Simple as that.
Okay. Huh. So I guess a question would be things that affect the community where they live, work, and play. What are some things that encompass public health?
So, public health can be seen as a science in which, public health research goes on about people in communities. It can also be active interventions that help people. For example, the vaccination campaigns around COVID is an aspect of how public health actually works and protects people and communities. And there's so many different examples of this, but there's also public health safety, the whole force around seatbelts decades ago was a public health initiative. And obviously, seatbelts save lives. So we continue to use them. And once they become a policy after investigation and research and surveys in the community, then you get public health policies that are put into place. So this is how it's sort of actualized in the community.
Okay. So let's go to Mrs. Clarke. So I think my question then would be, since we're talking about things that are happening in the community, what are you seeing as it relates to being on the ground and working with people who are coming to you, taking steps for their own well-being and taking steps for their own care?
It's interesting. So nowadays, people are more informed. There's information everywhere. It's like information overload. And so what I'm seeing is a lot of people who, especially within the communities that are working, who are confused about what good health looks like in terms of what they should eat, especially with the pandemic and, whether to vaccinate or not vaccinate. So there's a lot of information out there, but still lots of, I think we need more clarity. And yes, I think each individual should define what, uh, you know, health is for them. But there are certain, you know, certain things that you can't deny that are good health that we need to promote and that we need to, just be advocates for.
So how do you do that without being overwhelmed by the science?
Well, I would say that you choose one or two reliable sites to go to. And then once you start getting familiar with those sites, then they'll be sort of like your go-to sites. For example, like CDC website or WebMD, not Dr. Google, because if you just punch something into Dr. Google, one of my colleagues calls it that because a lot of times patients will say, Google said. So I think choosing a couple of reliable sites is a really good way of not getting overwhelmed. Then there's also sort of, not sort of lay magazines, but Natural Medicine Journal and alternative sources, Journal for Integrative and Complementary Medicine, and sources like that that will give you another lens if you want to read, kind of further into it. But I think, kind of limiting yourself to particular sources and not relying on necessarily Google or Facebook for your real news around the science is really important.
Okay, that's really interesting because I think, as you say, not to allow yourself to be overwhelmed. Making things allows you to make it more personal. So, well, let's talk about personally. What do both of you do to take care of your physical well-being? What are things that you do to help yourself experience joy in the body?
Do you want to take that first?
Let's start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to keep things simple, and to add to what Dr. Udaya was saying about just limiting what you the reliable sources that you depend upon. I think that keeping it simple, just KISS, keeping things very simple in our approach to health can be beneficial. The normal things, your fruits, your vegetables, not allowing stress to just ruin and rule your life. So for me, that looks like, choosing the things that I want to say no to, choosing the things that I want to say yes to every single day with my mental health in mind, with my well-being in mind, looking and seeing like the bigger picture. How will this impact me or affect me down the line? What do I feel? Being in touch with my feelings. What do I feel when I'm doing a particular thing? How do I feel, and how does it impact my health? So that's what I would say.
Dr. Thomas?
Well, I would totally agree. And I think one of the things is just drinking clean filtered water, and a great way to start from a public health perspective, to avoid detriment to the environment and to your own body would be to avoid single-use plastic bottles. So plastic bottles, I think a lot of people are familiar with the BPA labels, and it's saying like no BPA or BPA free. Those are like the harder plastic or the thermos containers that will say that. So that doesn't leach in so the plastic doesn't leach into the water. And so then you're protecting your own body, and then you're also protecting the planet because you're not using single-use plastic. So that's just one simple way, because they pollute both the community and our bodies. So carrying, being sort of conscious about carrying your own bottle of water, like Tanieka said, eating fresh fruits and vegetables, making sure you get those recommended daily allowances, every day, and getting a massage once in a while if you can. I got a massage last night after work, and I feel pretty good because it makes my whole mind, body, and everything feel good, and really get sort of some of the what I would call debris or waste out of the body through an assisted method that is a little bit outside of yourself. I mean, you can massage yourself too. You can do self massages. But the energy exchange between the therapist, like Tanieka, and yourself is also really a wonderful way to take care of yourself. I also do some yoga most mornings when I get up, yoga and meditation to start my day. And that brings me a lot of joy. And I always notice how I feel when I do the yoga and meditation, and when I might be rushing and skip, and how I feel at the end of the day. And I try to take note of that.
So that's an amazing thought, to really be conscious of what works for you at the beginning of the day. Because I'll tell you, I got up this morning. We had an interview this morning, and found myself rushing all over the place, and felt it later. I was like, I needed to do a little bit more grounding. So I think about what we could give to our audience as far as some tips to incorporate the joy, as you talked about, Udaya, and the well-being, the standing for yourself, like the boundaries that you talked about, Tanieka, to help this joy be a physical experience and not just a mental experience. So what do each of you do for your own joy? So we'll Dr. Thomas, what do you do for your own joy?
Well, some of the things that I mentioned, but I also eat dark chocolate. I try to eat dark chocolate every day. I go for the really strong stuff that doesn't, have any sugar in it. And you get used to it. It's bitter at first, but then it makes you feel so good. And it doesn't have, some of the negative side effects of like drinking caffeine all day or something like that. And it also fights free radicals and disease and lessens chances of illness with its antioxidant properties. So, if you can get even just a little square of dark chocolate in your day every day, it's a radical pleasure. Well, it's not a radical, but it's a simple pleasure. There you go.
I'm gonna go with radical, like dark chocolate. I went to Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's is like the most amazing thing for like the chocolate. Like they put like little things. So this is me speaking about my joy. I'm sorry, but yeah, the dark chocolate. I think I'm gonna hold that as a radical pledge. I like that. Tanieka, what about you? What is the joy? What do you do to capture the joy in your body?
So that's a great one. I've recently made
say that one more time. I'm sorry.
I said that is a great one. I love that chocolate is your thing, Dr. Udaya. And for me, I made the choice recently to dance every opportunity I'm given, every chance that I'm given to just dance. And I tell you, it has made me feel so much more alive. It's a real thing. And I think a lot of great health has to do with mindfulness and just being aware of what makes you feel good and doing that, like being intentional about doing that. So for me, it's dancing. Yeah.
I love dance. I'm going to shout out one of our mentors, um, Anita Macbeth. She's actually part of our community of practice on Sundays. And Anita Macbeth has been dancing, I think, pretty much all of her life. And the joy that she shows in her dance, and the fact that I'm not going to say her age, but when you look at her and then she tells you, she very proudly will tell you her age. I won't, because it's not my age. But when you see her and then she tells you her age, you're like, what? And I'm sure it's dance that's doing it. So I think you're onto something, Tanieka. So how has so this question's for both of you, and I'm looking to see if we have any questions. And we've got a lot of likes, which is great. No questions so far, but if you're watching along with us and you have questions, put them in the chat. We're able to see them. So a question that we have for you: how is your career? Because I think that's a thing as well. Part of our building Black utopias is talking about living, working, and playing freely with joy. So let's talk about your career. How has your career contributed to your joy? And if it isn't, or if it hasn't in the past, like what were you able to do to shift that? And I don't know who wants to start.
I can start. Okay, you start.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I've done was to pivot actually recently, as I said, in my bio, uh, I was supposed to be or on the path to expanding my business actually right before the pandemic. And, all these non-essential businesses shut down. And the timing was perfect because I was planning on moving out so that I didn't have to do all the massages myself because it started to take a toll on my body. Um, you know, just incorrect form and me loving what I do and getting so into it and not paying attention to the correct form. And so, and by the way, massage saved me as a therapist. It actually saved me. I did, I thought I was gonna probably get to the place, and this is my own me diagnosing myself, where I would probably need surgery because of just the pain that I was feeling. But massage therapy literally saved me, and it really does help people. So you don't have to. You possibly can avoid surgery and all these different things. Um, so anyway, I pivoted and I have been so much more joyful ever since, just not having, the work take a toll on my body, being able to share more. I was sharing this with Dr. Udaya before we came on. We were both talking about how we pivoted in one way or the other, and just experiencing the impact and the more people you can reach in the way that we've decided to now do business. So I coach women in health and wellness as well. So yeah, it's been exciting to see people celebrate their achievements and how they feel in their body. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, we had a little chat before, and it's interesting that you asked this, Nerissa, because my alphabet soup behind my name just tells you how many times I've pivoted. And that's because I just listen to what I need, and I follow the path. And some people call it sort of a public health journey because it's somewhat connected, But if I found myself not really happy or getting out what I needed to get out, because I consider like what I do for my life in a very sort of Indian way. It's like my duty or my calling. And so I want to be super passionate about it and also give, of myself so that whoever's on the receiving end really feels like they got the service, that they came for. So I don't want to be a disgruntled worker. And, I was on the front lines for many years and through COVID in a primary care practice. And I decided for myself that it had just become too much. Even though I really felt it was very rewarding to work with patients directly, but learning is really a joy for me. And so being part of a university setting now, where I've transitioned to in the last couple months, is really exciting because I not only get to continue learning, but I also get to share what I've learned over the decades in my career with my students and help them to touch many more people. So even though I don't see the direct effects, I do know that eventually the reach will be greater working with students. And I'm also really excited to be, in a group again versus like one-on-one. And I love doing groups, and we'll, continue to do groups. Like I help with the volunteer facilitation of the community of practice and so forth, and find other opportunities for that as well in the community. So yeah, so learning and facilitating learning opportunities is a wonderful career joy for me.
Awesome. So some of the things that you talked about both of you really talked about paying attention to yourself first. And I think it's a struggle sometimes for those of us who give, as you talked about, giving in the community, who serve others, especially when you work in a group. It's easy to let the needs of the group pull you from your personal needs. So this will be one of our wrapping up questions. But maybe some tips for those of us who find ourselves in the midst of the community. This project, this process, everything that we've been doing is a give back to the community. We're giving the story back to the community of itself, right? But for those of us who are in this kind of work on a regular basis, I'm hoping that the two of you who I consider experts can tell us, how do we keep joy in our bodies when the world is what it is? How do we keep joy in our bodies? You talked about how your career has contributed to your joy, what joy looks like for you. How do the rest of us who are not as learned? What are some tips? Maybe one solid tip that each one of you can give to us. Let's start with Dr. Thomas, and then we'll move to Tanieka.
Okay. So, one of the things that I noticed about myself, and I think mindfulness meditation really helps to contribute to this. And the more you do it, the more aware you become of like everything, right? So how you're eating, what you're eating, how long you're chewing, are you eating fast? Are you eating slow? Are you getting into accidents a lot? Or, things like that. So mindfulness really touches like all aspects of your life. So, but one simple thing I would say, because not everybody has the opportunity to, do university or, meet certain goals that they have. But I think if you really concentrate on what you want, you can really move mountains that you didn't think that you could. So one sort of really simple thing that I noticed about myself from even a young age is that when I laugh, my whole body laughs. So every cell of my being is experiencing joy when I laugh. So kind of like dancing, which I also love to do. And when I get too serious or too much into my work, my spouse pulls me into the middle of the living room. It's like, let's dance. And he puts on music. And it's really awesome because when you can make that sort of connection with all of your cells and your, including your mind, then you really take yourself to another level, a level of bliss. And the more that you can do that, even if you have a stressful job, even if you're, working there out there on the streets or doing something really physical, if you can be, you know, listening to music on your breaks, making sure you're laughing, reading funny jokes. I mean, whatever it is that makes you laugh, just laugh with your whole being.
There's this thing called yoga, laughter yoga.
Laughing yoga, yeah. It's great.
Okay. Tanieka Clarke, tell us.
I am so inspired by what you just said. Right up my alley. No, I am. And I think that for me, we got to slow down, I think when we are surrounded by lots of people, and I've been in so many environments where I have been just people. And I think when you slow down, just pause, you begin to notice what's happening around you, what's happening inside you. And then you can remember to dance. You can remember to dance with your whole being. You can remember to smile. Something that's become very popular lately from the speaker, Mel Robbins, she's been talking about pausing and high-fiving, right? Like if you high-five someone or even high-fiving yourself, it does something to us mentally and psychologically. So yeah, just remembering to slow down when there's so much going on around you. Just pause, slow down, and then that helps us to remember the state that we need to be in or what we need to do to be in a particular state in the first place.
Oh, wow. Love it. Okay, so I don't know. I feel very nourished by this. I think we gave our audience a lot of tips. We want to remind everybody to RSVP for our Sunday poetic brunch on the beach. That will be, and it is. Let me tell you something. Look. Okay.
RSVP.
Look, people. It is such an amazing event. It's nourishing. And I can say that as somebody who's been working behind the scenes. We have been interviewing these amazing people in all of our beautiful Black neighborhoods. And as you would expect, the story that you hear on the news is not the full story. And so what we're getting is we are gathering these stories together and we are going to share out to you some of the most beautiful things you've ever heard about Carver Ranches, about Dania Beach, about Sistrunk,
Liberia.
Did you know Liberia is in Hollywood and it's a historic
That's
Black
right.
community? Pompano Beach, Deerfield, Harlem McBride. Did you know that we have a Harlem McBride in Broward County? You bet you didn't know that. So we are just excited. And so I'll give you a little tip. We have a spoken word artist who's been listening to these interviews and is about to drop a monster poem on you, which is just like, music, free brunch bites. Udaya's going to be there. Tanieka's going to be there. You're going to be there. And you can bring your stuff to barbecue. It's right on the beach. We have a private pavilion. I am like stoked. I'm completely stoked. And so we're going to be putting up tents so that you are out of the heat. And actually we'll be done by noon. So bring your family, bring your friends. If it's Father's Day, you want to give your dad or your grandpa something interesting. Come on down because we're going to have some beautiful experiences. And last but not least, we are going to be ending with a process we call water is our medicine. If you don't know how to swim, it's okay. You can just tap your feet into the water. We're working with diversity and aquatics, which is going to be facilitating a very amazing experience. And if you don't know how to swim, we have adult learn to swim classes too. Black children drown at 6 times the rate as their peers. 6 times the rate. And it has everything to do with the fact that Black parents and Black families were blocked from the beaches and from the pools. But water is our medicine, right? Join us.
That's right.
Join us. So last but not least, I want our amazing experts to tell us where we can find you, where we can follow you, where we can read about you, where we can support your work. And again, just RSVP folks to juneteenthforjoy.com. So let's start with Tanieka. Tell us where we can find you, how we can support you, everything.
Thank you, Nerissa. It was such a pleasure to be here, such an honor, and I cannot wait until Sunday. I'm actually looking forward to this monster poem. Such a pleasure to be here and meet you as well. Can't wait to see you and connect with you as well, Dr. Thomas. And you can find me at I am Tanieka on Instagram. And that is kind of where I post most things or almost everything that I'm doing because I wear several different hats. So again, I am Tanieka on Instagram. Thanks.
Dr. Thomas?
You're putting me on the spot, Nerissa. You know I don't have an Instagram account.
That's okay. Well, are you published in a journal? Where do we read up about you? How do we connect with you?
Yeah, I have some podcasts that have been published. Natural Medicine Journal is one that I did. Also, Herbally Yours, The Natural Nurse. You can Google those things, but you can find me on the beach with all of you every Sunday. So I'm going to take the natural route and say, come play with me in the sand and the water. And remember, Black is beautiful and we have to uplift it and eat dark chocolate so we can keep saying Black is beautiful because dark chocolate is Black and Black is beautiful.
Black is beautiful. I'm adding that right here. We're showing that right there.
Woo-hoo!
Black is beautiful.
I was wondering what you were doing.
I was like, very. I'm learning the all of my tech people are helping us amplify this message. So I want to shout out a couple of tech people. Regan Mendoza, who is our producer, who you all probably will never meet, but he's amazing. He set me up on this wonderful live stream so we could bring this to you. The incomparable Nikki Lopez, who has been doing all of our social media sharing. She's about decolonizing graphic design. And our entire team, we have an amazing team of people who I know a lot of you are shy, but I'm going to shout you out very loudly on Sunday, right before we all frolic into the beach. Have you all seen that thing, that video where there's this Black man frolicking? Have you guys seen that? Tell me you've seen that video.
No.
Black man frolicking. No. Please, just everybody who's watching, go ahead and take a look. Google Black men frolicking.
Okay. Writing it down.
Please do that. And we appreciate everybody who's watching. Those of you watching from YouTube, those of you watching from Facebook, the recording will be up and available on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, RSVP at Juneteenth for Joy, juneteenthforjoy.com. We're spelling out 4. And this is our 3rd annual festival. We are building Black utopias, supporting the 8 historic Black neighborhoods in Broward County by amplifying their stories. And last but not least, these stories are going to be archived at the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. And our goal is to get these stories archived in the Library of Congress.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that part, Nerissa.
yeah,
Amazing.
so Historical Fingers are going to get these stories archived in the Library of Congress so we can change the narrative.
Yes.
Transforming red lines into green spaces. We got it. We're doing it. Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Thank you, Tanieka Clarke. Thank you, everyone who is watching. And please RSVP and join us. Bye.